Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much to the Secretary General of the National Commission, who fortunately had to leave already. And especially thank you very, very much for the very warm welcome of the Terras de Cavaleiros UNESCO Global Geopark team for welcoming me to your conference on humanizing tourism. As already was mentioned before, this year is the International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development, because we want to give tourism a meaningful experience, so that it is in the end a people-oriented industry, and so sustainable tourism is now an alternative, and hopefully once it will become mainstream. And very importantly, the European Global Geoparks Network and the Global Geoparks Network are partners of this international year. When you think of tourism, you can immediately start thinking of UNESCO heritage designations. For World Heritage, there are more than 1,000 different sites, and they're the most well-known of what UNESCO has to offer. The Man and Biosphere Reserves, there are almost 700 sites. But this program has been running for decades. The UNESCO Global Geoparks, currently 119 sites, but this is a very young program, and so every year new geoparks will join and this group will grow. This is a new map that will be printed soon. We hope that we can have it ready by February, with all the 119 geoparks in 33 different countries in 5 different continents. So UNESCO Global Geoparks, a lot of you here in the room already have this label or are working towards this label. You are aware what this is. It's a single unified geographical area with sites and landscapes of international geological significance. And it has to be managed with a holistic concept of protection, education, and sustainable development. But is a geopark just about geology? No, of course not. It also has to demonstrate how everything is linked, how everything is united from the geological aspect to every other aspect of natural, cultural, and intangible heritage. And it's about reconnecting humans with where we come from, with this earth, which has a much longer history than the history of humanity. So to come back to this international year, when we look at the 3 pillars of sustainability and of sustainable tourism, we come to economy, society, and environment. And to have well-designed and well-managed tourism that works towards it. And actually, this is the soul of a UNESCO Global Geopark. So no wonder the UNESCO Global Geoparks, the European Geoparks Network, and the Global Geoparks Network are partners, because they completely are the image of what this is supposed to represent. When we think about sustainable tourism, we're always talking about reducing our impact, reducing our carbon footprint. But when we think about sustainability, we could maybe also think about increasing our handprint. Because let's see, a handprint is a positive action. It's a commitment. It's also about connecting, joining hands, a symbol of care. It's about being inspiring. In the case of the Global Geoparks, I had this image of connecting 6 things with this hand and what they represent. The first one for me is heritage, and like the lines in our hand that tell our story, they are the memories of the earth, the wrinkles. The geology is the wrinkles of the earth, like we have the wrinkles of our face, which are our memories, which is memories of earth and humanity. It's about celebrating this. And that's, I found, because whatever you see geology, you don't just watch, you touch it. It's also about sharing, about liking, about saying, we work together, about partnerships, about working together, about stakeholders. Because it's this, the experience of sharing, this will make us stronger. It's about learning. It's about learning about science, it's learning about history, it's about learning about traditions, and it's learning to be aware of your surroundings, even when it brings risks like earthquakes or floods, but also when it can bring good things, like being aware of your neighbors. For example, this is in a Japanese geopark where they're teaching kids a traditional way of making salt. It's also about people. It's about your identity. Where do we come from? Where are we going? About being pride and taking ownership of your heritage. It's about empowerment and taking back the value of indigenous knowledge. So I think for this one, I encountered the story in the local tradition of this area, and I think this is what makes people proud. This is typical for this area. It's also about acting. It's about be active, being part of something and making a change, about improving a situation. So we go to sustainable development. We want a sustainable world. Let's change the way we transport ourselves. Let's take a bike. And here you get a reward for it in the Burren Cliffs of Moher. And lastly, it's about the future. We do sustainable development because we want to change the world, to prevent our climate from changing too much, to have best practices to get a sustainable lifestyle, so that things like this, glaciers like this, will keep on existing, and that we can see them and that we can show them. Like the Secretary General already mentioned before, the Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda is crucial to what we're doing now. And I made the same exercise. I mapped these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which represent 169 targets, to the UNESCO Global Geoparks. And I think these 8 are the most important ones. And because of these reasons. Because global geoparks are about education, about giving women full participation, about promoting sustainable tourism, safeguarding our heritage, awareness about our sustainable lifestyles, awareness about climate change, creating resilience and reduce exposures to economic and environmental shocks and disasters, and mostly it's about partnership. The International Geoscience and Geoparks Program is coordinated by UNESCO and exists out of 2 pillars. On one side, we have the International Geoscience Program, which is the completely scientific part. It's groups of scientists who come together, who work together on geological projects. On the other side, we have the International Geoparks Program. And both of them have several bureaus and councils, etc. I will explain this for the geoparks part in more detail. Both of them have also separate calendars. Sometimes they mix, but for the geoparks one, I will get back to that. So the UNESCO Global Geoparks, they're governing bodies. First of all, you have the UNESCO Global Geoparks Council, which exists out of 12 members, which are appointed by the UNESCO Director General by recommendation of the Global Geoparks Network and by the member states. And you have 4 ex officio members, which is the UNESCO Director General, the Global Geoparks Networks Association President, IUGS Secretary General, and the IUCN Director General. These 12 members, they are selected because they're high-profile experts. They know what they're talking about. They know the essence of a global geopark. They serve for 4 years, which can be renewed once, and they are the people who make the recommendations on the new applications and the revalidations, and they advise UNESCO on the strategy for the UNESCO Global Geoparks. On the other hand, we have the UNESCO Global Geoparks Bureau. 3 people of the council I mentioned before are part of this bureau, which is the chairperson, the vice chairperson, and the rapporteur of the council. And you have 2 ex officio members again, which is the Global Geoparks Network Association President and the UNESCO Director General. The Bureau is responsible for preparing the documents for the Executive Board. They do the selection for the evaluation and revalidation teams, and they hold joint meetings. The application process. With the change to UNESCO Global Geoparks, the application process has become a bit longer. So what do you have to do? Step 1. In July, we would like to receive an expression of interest at UNESCO. This is just a letter where you express we are planning to apply this year. In the period from 1st of October to 30th of November, we are expecting your application dossier. This must be accompanied by a letter of endorsement from your national authority. and we only can accept 2 active applications per country at any time. Also, if you are an existing global geopark and you want to extend your area with more than 10%, you will have to reapply. In case your global geopark, UNESCO Global Geopark application overlaps with a World Heritage Site or with a Biosphere Reserve, we will need a very thorough justification why you also want the UNESCO Global Geopark label. Remember, this dossier and also the letter of expression of interest has to come through your country's national contact point. It cannot be sent by the aspiring geopark directly. What is your dossier? What does it look like? It exists out of several parts. You have the, part A, which is the identification of the area, B, which is the geological heritage, C, the geoconservation, D, economic activity and business plan, and E, interest to become a UNESCO Global Geopark. This dossier has to be maximum 50 pages, and you have to send it, you can send it to us by email if it's smaller than 5 megabytes, otherwise use things like Dropbox or WeTransfer, etc., etc. Again, this dossier has to come through your national contact point. You cannot send it directly as an aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark. There are also a lot of annexes which has to be added to the dossier, which includes the self-evaluation, the letter of endorsements, which is crucial, a large map, and a 1-page summary to go with the map, which is also very important. And to make sure you don't forget, you have to send it through the national contact point. All the instructions are also on our website, which you can see at the bottom. For the application process, when does everything happen? So after you have sent your application before the end of November, we will check at UNESCO if your dossier is complete. If it's not the case, you get until the 31st of January to make any necessary changes. During January and March, we will put a 1-page summary, including a map, on our website so that the member states can check. If at any time during this period and for any reason we receive a complaint from a member state about your application will be suspended and the member states will have to resolve it among themselves. In February, we present new applications during the International Geoscience Program open meeting. And then in March, the International Union of Geological Science will do the desktop review about the international value of your geological part of your UNESCO Global Geopark. And then from the 1st of May until the 15th of August, if everything has gone well, there is no objections, 2 evaluators will come to your aspiring geopark and they will do a site inspection. When in September, after everybody has reviewed your dossier, the people have visited your geopark, the final report will be evaluated by the UNESCO Global Geoparks Council. These are these 12 people I talked about before. And the council will make a recommendation and will say whether you get a green card, which means good news, you're accepted. And normally, if everything goes well, you will get the UNESCO Global Geoparks label the next spring. Maybe you get a yellow card, which means well done, but you're not yet there. You get 2 years to improve. And worst case scenario, you get a red card, which means that you will need to reapply, that there is still a lot of work to do. So imagine you get a green card. This means that in this next year, this spring, for example, during the executive board, which is every year in spring, we will present all the green carded aspiring UNESCO Global Geoparks in front of the executive board, and they will decide to endorse. Everything, all the details will be in an information document. Remember, once you get the endorsement of the executive board as an aspiring geopark and consequently a new UNESCO Global Geopark, you have to become a member of the Global Geoparks Network. As you can see, the process is quite long, so it takes about 16 to 18 months. And you only have this label for 4 years. After 4 years, you will have to go to the revalidation process. So, the revalidation process. 1 year before you get revalidated, we are expecting a one-page summary about your UNESCO Global Geopark. So if you will be revalidated in 2018, we expect this letter to arrive before May 2017. 3 months before your revalidation, so if your revalidation is in 2018, 3 months before the 1st of May 2018, we expect a full progress report. This progress report, again, has to be sent to your national contact point, so you can't send it to us directly. So, if everything goes well, we have received all your information, then during the 1st of May until the 15th of August, you will get your revalidation mission by 2 experts. Remember, all costs related to this revalidation mission are your responsibility. And then in September, the whole dossier will be presented to the UNESCO Global Geopark Council, who will make a decision whether to give you a green, yellow, or a red card. And this will give you another 4 years. If you get a yellow card, maybe only 2 years. If you get a red card, unfortunately, you lose your UNESCO Global Geopark status. In January, you will receive an official letter by UNESCO about your new status. The financial model, as you might have heard already, UNESCO is still not in the strongest financial situation. This means that when they accepted the UNESCO Global Geoparks as an official designation, this was with no additional costs. So this means that all UNESCO Global Geoparks are expected to contribute annually a minimum of $1,000. These funds will be used in a special account for capacity building to geoparks, especially in parts of the world where there are none of hardly any. And in special circumstances, these funds can be used for cost of an initial evaluation or revalidation mission. What in our future? So in 2016, we received a whole bunch of applications from also a couple of new countries where we didn't have any UNESCO Global Geoparks yet. All these have been evaluated, and very soon in this April, some of them will be presented before the Executive Board for endorsement. So this means that during 2016, this was the first year there were no new UNESCO Global Geoparks to be added, but from 2017 onwards, new people, new geoparks, new areas will join the group every year. I want to take your attention to the UNESCO Global Geopark brochures. So these brochures are available on our website. You can download them. We have, especially the normal UNESCO Global Geoparks one, the whole application process, the whole revalidation process is explained there in great detail. But especially, I want to draw your attention to new brochures, which are coming out in February and March. One is, first of all, is our new UNESCO Global Geopark map, which is themed on the 2017 International Year for Sustainable Tourism, which we hope is ready for the big tourist conference in Berlin in March. And we also are making a special publication on the Sustainable Development Goals and the UNESCO Global Geoparks. So if you have any questions, everything is supposed to be on our website, and you can, of course, always contact us. You can contact my chief of section, Patrick McKeever, you can contact my colleague, or you can contact myself, or you can just grab me after my talk and ask me all the questions you want. So, thank you very much. Obrigado.